All right, 1:30 on a Monday afternoon. Welcome back to JV and Goldwater Show, protected by McFadden Pest Control, driven, of course, by your friends and ours at Stokes Volkswagen. Darren, Jamie, and now new head strength and conditioning coach for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Welcome to the Palmetto State, Luke Day, and thank you so much for joining us on this Monday afternoon. Coach, what's up, man?
Hey, thank you guys for having me on here. I really appreciate it. This is pretty cool.
Well, we first of all, welcome to town. Have you been getting accustomed to the fine eats we have in the state of South Carolina, of course, in Columbia where you are?
Oh, absolutely. I've spent a lot of time already at Home Team Barbecue.
There you go.
I believe it's called the Wookie over at Southern Belly. I've done. I'm making my rounds. Absolutely.
Hey, Aaron, who owns Home Team, is a friend of ours, so we'll have to.
Okay.
We got to figure something out.
It started here, didn't it? In Charleston?
Yeah. Home Team started, but he's a Georgia fan, so if you meet him, you got to give him some crap for that.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, we got to figure that out.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I think he does pull for South Carolina since one of his main businesses is located in 5 Points. Probably it would be a smart move for him, at least publicly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, thank you so much, man. We know that you've been busy. We really appreciate the time today. People are excited about having you in the corner of South Carolina now and guiding the strength program moving forward for Gamecock football. I want to ask you why. Why South Carolina? Did you have some other opportunities available out there, and why were you? We've all heard the stories. Why were you so energized about this opportunity to work for Shane Beamer?
Well, one is because I just knew what this place can be, should be, and wants to be, and I want to be a part of that. And I had heard, Coach Beamer and I, we did not know each other prior to this. Didn't have a prior working relationship, but we knew a lot of people that knew each other. And so, everything I had heard was this guy's going to come in. He's going to build it the right way. And I wanted to be a part of this experience, this story, as we start this thing and start building it from the ground up, the way it needs to be, the way it should be, the way people want it to be.
Since you've been on campus, what have you learned about the South Carolina football program? The program itself, its history, its traditions. What have you learned about that, and what have you learned about the players that you've inherited?
Well, the first thing I've learned is that this is a group of people and a fan base that loves South Carolina, and they're very, very proud of their program, and they should be. And the people that so far, my experience and my interactions with the people of this town and this community and this university has been nothing short of special. And that's what people here deserve, is a program to be very, very proud of that matches the pride they have in how they think of South Carolina Gamecock football. The players here, they desperately want someone to come in here and invest in them as men, as human beings, as football players. And it's we'll work. Just show us. And they've been very receiving of what we've been offering so far. And I also am not naive. We're in the honeymoon right now. We'll get in an argument on the way home from Disney World in the car, obviously. But right now, there is an intent and want to work well, and we have to build on that. But we've got a great start.
The staff you've put together, where did you cross paths with Chip Morton? The guy's got 27 years in the NFL. What did you know about Byron Gerardo? I sat in Williams-Brice Stadium many, many days watching Byron Gerardo play football for the Gamecocks. He's a Low Country native from Green Pond, not too far from where we are here in Mount Pleasant. What did you know about Byron Gerardo? Why did you want him to be a part of your staff and come home to South Carolina? And explain your relationship with Chip Morton.
Okay, so first of all, Coach Beamer and I, we spoke, and I knew of Byron. I knew he was at Tennessee. I knew how important it was to, number one is I wanted every single person on this staff and really in this building to desperately want to be here and have something more than just this is a good job. And Byron has walked in these players' shoes and has lived in their lives and has experienced success at a really high level at this very university. So to have a guy as like a real-time feedback loop sort of monument in a room that says, this guy's lived your life and he's showing you how to do it. That was important to Coach Beamer. That was important to me. And the first conversation I had with Byron about coming here, he didn't think twice. And the same kind of thing is we had not worked together before, and we were just still getting to know each other. But he so desperately wanted to be here and match how desperately I wanted to be here, that this was something I knew right off the bat was going to work out. With Coach Morton, I was Coach Morton's assistant with the Cincinnati Bengals in 2015. I grew up just north of Cincinnati, a little town called Hamilton, Ohio. Grew up with the Bengals, and I knew Marvin was there for a long time. Chip was his guy. That whole time they were in Baltimore together when Marvin was the defense coordinator and Chip was the assistant there. But when I worked with some really good head strength coaches. I've worked with Ed Ellis and Scott Sinclair, who Scott's at Georgia now, and Ed's at Arkansas. But they were both guys at UCF, and I've worked with some very, very Mike Golden at USF. But Chip put a different lens on this profession for me, and when we talk about, and now it's really a rosy term that everybody sort of throws around about love your players. You got to love these guys. You got to love them. Well, define your terms, as Chip says a lot to me, and now I use the same terminology. But let's define what that means and to watch him do that with professional athletes, because nobody has to do anything. Yeah, you can get fined, but they got enough money, they don't really care either. If people are doing things at the professional level and they're working really hard in a weight room, it's because you're a great communicator and you have more than just what's going to happen to you if you don't do it. You've conveyed value. And you can convey. I told these guys in here this week, I'm not going to talk you into doing anything. And if you're doing it because I said you should, and whistle, well, Saturday's pretty loud, you're not going to hear me yet. And you're going to do what you think is right. And so you and I have to come to an understanding that what I think is right, what you think is right, eventually needs to be the same thing. When we talk about, and Chip really poured into me in that season, and I brought a lot of that stuff to Marshall. We built this thing out over the phone, the program at Marshall, and it was we talked every single day. We've been through a lot together. We've been at different jobs. We've been out of jobs together. This past season, Chip was training the Marine Raiders Special Forces, and he added another kind of layer to this thing, taking some of the stuff from what those guys do, and we're able to bring some of that, some of the psychology of training the Special Forces with these guys here. But more than anything, let's define what love means. And for us, it means I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to celebrate you. I'm going to suffer with you. And we're going to confront each other's lesser versions of ourselves until the things we don't want to do that get in our way from doing the things we want to do are no longer there in front of us. That's what it means. That's how we're going to love these guys.
Man, I love that. And it's very interesting, speaking with new head strength and conditioning coach Luke Day up at South Carolina. I love what you said about the Special Forces. One of the things, and it didn't work out for Will Muschamp in Columbia, but one of the things he did every single year with his program, coach, was he took the Gamecock football team right down the road to Fort Jackson, and they always had a training day with those soldiers to understand what they go through, what sacrifice really is, and brotherhood and things of that nature. Do you anticipate doing anything like that in the future?
We're going to do a lot of things that are really, really difficult, because there's some beautiful things that take place physiologically and psychologically when you're just straining and you're doing things that cause great struggle. I can't tell you straight off the bat is if we're going to go and do things with actual military personnel. I do know that I'm a big early, often, and consistent type guy, and I'm not familiar with some of the things that was going on here before, but the things that we do have to happen often. Another tip is if it's important to your program, do it all the time. And I do see the value in visiting people and getting their perspective on the world and understanding their sacrifice. But we gotta live these truths, and it's gotta happen every single day. A couple of times a year is not enough to break the cerebral concrete around our brains that make us do things we don't want to do. It's gotta happen often.
I like it. Cerebral concrete that's around our brain.
Yeah.
So that's got to tie into the struggle well philosophy. Where'd struggle well come from? How do you take that phrase? How do you take the mindset and incorporate it into the players?
Well, one thing, when you're young, you try to figure out, like, you have these big dreams and these big goals, and you want to do them all, and you try to get there as fast as you possibly can. And I always said the worst thing you can do is your dream come true and you're not ready for it. And so I thought I could sidestep a lot of burden and a lot of struggle. Dave Lawson was my first boss at the University of Cincinnati, and he looked me square in the eyes and he said, "You're not ready to be a full-time strength coach." I was just a part-time guy at the time. Broke my heart. I thought he was the worst guy in the world, and he was never more right. And because you cannot skip the steps to, a friend of mine sent me something this morning, Ben Kramer, and he said, overnight success usually takes 10 years to get there. And so if we try to pursue the happiness in the American dream, and we say, all you got to do is just get here and you're going to play early and all those sorts of things, and we do not level with them of how much heartache and strain and struggle this is going to take, then it's going to be a shock to them. And we love to talk about talent. We're obsessed with talent as a culture, but I don't think we define that well. When we say talent, we just think that God sprinkled more fairy dust on him, and that gives me an excuse of why I'm not good at it. And we exclude the thousands and thousands of hours of just really, really grueling hard work that I didn't do to be as good as he is as that thing. So we're going to be obsessed with the things that get us where we want to go. Everybody in their life is searching for meaning. We're looking for a reason to wake up in the morning, and struggle and responsibility deepens that meaning. And the more your life means to you, the more you're down to struggle to get what you want. And so those are the things that we want these guys to grasp, the concept. We don't want to sidestep any hardship. We're going to learn to take it right on the chin. You can't make anybody tap out unless you make your body is brought into submission under your own mind. You can't make anybody else's.
Coach, if you end up being a little short this year as far as filling out the roster, let me know, because I'll play. I'm only 5'9", but you can plug me in somewhere. I'll figure it out.
Hey, come on, man. Come on. We got to put a scout team together. We'll get it going.
Only good enough for the scout team, man.
Look, as long
we'll do a little combine. We'll get the scout. I'll let Coach Ben break the film down.
As long as it's not, Birch or one of those guys running over me, I'll be all right. He's a little. I can't handle
That's
that dude.
Physical specimen.
Man. He is something to look at. So I do want to ask you a couple specific things about the team here in a minute, but I do want to ask you about this staff too. I know you're just getting to know a lot of these guys, and I'm specifically here speaking about the on-field coaches, Torian and Eric and Dez, and I know Eric well, and Eric has been around a long time. He's a hero of sorts at South Carolina. Obviously, Justin Stepp's story, and Mike and Peterson, all these guys. I look at this staff as a pretty good staff. You've been a lot of places: Central Florida, South Florida, Cincinnati, Colorado, Marshall. You've spent time with the Saints and the Bengals, as you mentioned a little while ago. When you look at this staff that you're now a part of at South Carolina, what do you see? What do you most like about this group under Shane Beamer?
I see a bunch of people, and I sound like a broken record here, that really, really want to be here. And I see a bunch of people that their number one concern is how do we reach young men, and how do we coach them and do it really, really well every single day. And so far, my experience with every single one of these guys is that's we're not coaching. I always say in here, we're not coaching sets and reps and bars and dumbbells. We're not coaching X's and O's and magnets you move around on a whiteboard. These are people. These are young men that are trying to find their place in the world. And we've got a tremendous group of people that Coach Beamer has assembled that understand that that's what we're dealing with. This is a human business. It is. Make no mistake about it. It's a business, but it is a human business. And so we have got to be able to. If I can't connect, then I'm unable to correct. And so those are the type of people that are in this building. Eric's he's schooled me up on struggle well, so he's brought it to another level for me. And Coach Stepp and his passion for being here. I mean, all of these guys. Pete Limbo is as sharp as they come, and I learn from him every single day. And Coach Satterfield, Coach White, just some great dudes that I'm really, really fortunate. It's as good or better group of people assembled as anywhere I've ever been.
Wow, that's a big statement for Shane Beamer, first-time head coach, and obviously, you know me, I've got a world of respect for Coach Beamer. All right, so let me ask you this. All right, you're a freshman. You're just getting a lot of these. It just happened to a bunch of guys who signed in December, showed up in January, and they're just getting to campus. What are they doing first? What is the first step for a kid new to college football, especially at this level? What are they going through right now?
Well, they're getting a lot thrown at them. The first thing is we're going to do is we're going to meet with you, and we're going to know you, or as much as we possibly can, and you're going to know where I'm coming from. It's not always going to sound like it, and it's not always going to feel like it, but these kids have to on the front end understand that we have and want their best interest in mind. That might feel, that might sting more than others sometimes, but that is what they. And then the other one is to really appreciate, understand what it means to say you're working really hard. And everybody says that, yeah. But so the first thing we have to set a whole new reference point as what hard work is, what a full day is, what waking up early is, what a full night's rest is, what eating is, what a good meal looks like. Kristen Colligan here, the director of nutrition, is incredible. Yeah. She is incredible here. So it's a fire hose. They're drinking from a fire hose right now. But that's what you circle back to consistency. You know, they got their heads blown off in here this morning, and then we'll put them back together and we'll do it again tomorrow. And then the body and the mind and the heart adapts a little bit more each week. And then we just turn the dial up a little bit more, and you got to adapt to that. And then I always said between 18 and 23 is probably as drastic of a change in a human being as it is from 0 to 5 years old. You come in here, an older boy or a very, very young man, and you walk out of college football, especially in this league, if you're doing it right and you're developing kids and you got good people, we do, you're supposed to walk out here a grown man. So,
wow. Coach, do you have time for 2 more questions, and then we can let you run?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I almost got to clear something up because I know Ben Downer, the history coach of the Saints, is rolling his eyes. I was just down there for a few days. I saw that like in an article, like spent time with it. Like Sean Payton would be like, who right now? So let me clear that up right now. Yes, I was with the Bengals, but that internship was very, very short with the New Orleans Saints, and I don't want to run into those guys and be like, "Yeah, who do you think you are?"
Hey, look, here's the good news. According to my family, there's about 11 people that watch or listen to our show, so nobody's going to hear this. Okay.
Good.
It's a lot more than that, I promise. But that's according. If you ask
that's great. I'm glad you got a lot of things.
Oh yeah, big support. Yeah, my cousin Robbie, he's like, hey man, well, why do you care what happens? There's only 11 people that watch or listen to that thing. All right, so let me ask you, about strength and conditioning today. So we hear all these terms, right? And every strength coach has like a different way of saying things. Certainly, you're going to be different from Paul Jackson, and Paul Jackson was different from Jeff Dillman, and Jeff Dillman's going to be different from whoever. Craig Fitzgerald back when he was at South Carolina, Joe Conley, whoever it is. But you hear speed, you hear strength, you hear flexibility, you hear explosiveness, you hear all these big terms, and then the fans get in the Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday, and they're like, well, we sure don't look fast, or man, we sure don't look explosive. What does that mean? Like, how do you balance those terms out? How do you coach a strength and conditioning program, and how do those terms get implemented into that program? Like, what is today's style of strength and conditioning when it comes to college football?
Well, I don't know if I can speak for today's style in general, and that actually it kind of freaks me out. Today's style, because human beings have been the same looking type of people for a long, long time.
Yeah, good point.
So we need to train them as such, as they're human beings. Let's train in ways that honor our design, and we are a bipedal, upright creature that walks on 2 feet, and we walk with the opposite arm, opposite leg, unless there's something wrong with you, and then that's a whole other thing. But we need to train people to be able to have great command of their body, and we are so sedentary. We sit around, we hunch over in a chair, we stare at our phones, we breathe through our mouth, and we don't have. We were pretty put together, solid people when we were babies. And we got that big old heavy head, and we still figured out how to hold it up and walk and run around the house as a toddler. And then we just sort of, our movement skills decay. And now you got a kid that either lays horizontally playing NBA Live, or he gets up and plays SEC football 100,000 miles an hour. And we can't understand where the injuries come from. And kids don't climb trees and jump fences and have good grip strength. They don't go to work with their dad. They don't swing sledgehammers. They don't carry things around. We are laborers as people. We built walls and pyramids, and we do things that are we put it on our right shoulder. We squat down and reach and grab the other tool with our left hand, and we do a ton of things that 3 things. We're gonna teach people how to breathe diaphragmatically. All your strength is coming from your breath. We are going to engage the gait pattern. We're going to load their gait. We are huge in carries, crawls, sled pushes, sled drags. It's great that you can stand in that little platform in the weight room and pick a bar up vertically, but the gridiron is still 100 yards long. You got to move. You got to move forward. You got to move backwards. You got to move suddenly. You got to hold it. You got to move violently. You got to use your opposite arm, opposite leg, strike. You have to be hip, and you got to be tempered to handle those sorts of things. And so the last thing we're going to be is we're not going to be a bar trained for a football demand. So we're gonna be a team that has a wide resume and menu of movement, and we understand tension and we understand release. When you whip your hand real hard and then tighten it up right before it connects with somebody's jaw, that's a catastrophic event. But you have to understand how to do that. That's why Mike Tyson is a threat to the rest of society, because he knows how to use his hands. Well, we're going to teach these guys know how to use their bodies for violence.
Wow. I love that. And so follow-up question that, a couple years ago, Carolina fans remember this very well. There was a couple of years where there was a ton of soft tissue injuries in the Carolina football program. Is that what you're explaining? Is that where a lot of that comes from?
Oh, no, hold on now. You're going to back me into a corner
No.
here because somebody pulls their hamstrings and be like, he'll pull up this interview. I don't want to hear that. But, yeah. I was with the Saints long enough to hear Dave Dalrymple say this. You take credit for no injuries. You've accepted blame for any. So, sometimes you're just running into people real hard and stuff happens. Okay. But I do say this, tough, physical people that are resilient, they get hurt less. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
So
okay, love that. That's a great quote. Look, man. On that note, I think we can let you get back to doing whatever you're doing. I know that you got a busy day, and
you sound like you're pretty lazy, just kind of like lounging around,
nothing going on,
slouched over.
We got a lot of stuff to get going here. So.
You mentioned NBA Live, and you admitted the fact that it's you that's sitting there playing NBA Live.
Yeah, no, we don't have consoles in our house.
No, I can't blame you there. Who's going to give the best speech this year? Is it going to be you or Derek Moore?
Oh man, Derek Moore he's a poet laureate. I can't compete. That guy, he's Shakespearean in performance. So there's nothing I can do to compete with that. That's all Demo.
Oh, it's something. Well, look, Carolina, the Gamecock faithful, they have listened to essentially every word you've had to say since you've arrived on campus, and I think people are very excited about you running the strength and conditioning program for Gamecock football moving forward. Coach, we'd love to, and hopefully we'll be able to speak with you in the future. I know I'll be in Columbia at some point in time, so once things lighten up a little bit, I'll come by the building one day and say hello to everybody. Welcome to the Palmetto State, and thank you so much for your time today. And best of luck here in the near future with Carolina football. We're really looking forward to a very prosperous 2021.
Well, I can't thank you enough. Grateful is the word for it, and I'm very humbled by this opportunity, and we want to do right by this state and by the people in this town and community. And we got a lot of work to do. It's going to take all of us, but we're going to get it done.
Well, you'll find out in the fall. There's going to be about 80,000 people in Waynes-Bryce Stadium who support you. And I think you'll certainly enjoy that.
I can't wait.
Have a wonderful week, Coach. Great to speak with you. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yes, sir. Luke Day, head strength conditioning coach for the South Carolina Gamecocks here on a Monday afternoon.